Let's get into the final part of fixing up this Ford YT16. So as we left off, it was running and driving, but there's a few more issues to fix. Let's get into them. The next issue I had once I got it running and driving, the clutch wasn't working. So one of the major issues was all of my belt keepers were missing. Here's one of them that goes in the center of the belt. There's two that go on each pulley to hold the belt on the pulley. And then there is one up by the engine, around the engine pulley. Once I put those keepers on, then the clutch was working. And once I got those brakes working good, then I went to put a replacement belt on. This is a 1/2 by 102. And the first one that I tried on there was a 1/2 by 101, and it was just a little bit tight. The New Holland one that's supposed to go to this is some kind of weird half size that's hard to find. And I think New Holland wanted almost $100 for the belt. I was able to find this one here at Tractor Supply, and it was, I think it was probably around $20 or $30. And then I had my new belt on, and I started to hear these pulleys squealing. So I went and found this set here. These are, I think, Oregon makes these. I'll put it on the screen, the part number for this V idler, and then the flat idler here. And once I got them new pulleys on there, it was nice and quiet, and everything moved nice and smooth. And with that, new pulleys, new belt, and brakes, clutch and brakes were fully functional. Now, after the wheel and axle bushings. So for the wheel bushings, I actually completely removed them, and I replaced them with a sealed bearing upgrade kit. Now that's got its advantages and disadvantages. I like the bearings better because it doesn't ride on the shaft and it's not wearing out the shaft. But the only thing is, since they are sealed, the grease fitting is pretty much useless. Now what you can do is you can take the inner seal out of one of those bearings using a pick, just like this. And then your bearings will be greasable through the grease fitting. Just an idea to try, and I think that's a really nice upgrade. Then for these were really hard to find. They're essentially the same as all of your MTD axle bushings, except for the fact that it is square on one side. All the other standard ones are round all the way around, but this fits into a D-shaped hole. I got really lucky on these, and I was able to find someone on eBay that had, I think they had 5 of them, and I made them an offer to buy all 5. So I do have one spare of these, but I got upper and lower are new in both sides. And now the whole front end of this machine is really tight. I also replaced the bushings in the center axle pivot here. And then there's another bar that comes off of the axle, and I replaced this bushing here as well. I will try to put the sizes for you on the screen. And I got this one front headlight bulb replaced. It is a GE 4411. I was able to find that new old stock online. And these tail lights, I did have to replace one of the assemblies on the back here because it was so corroded I couldn't get it clean, and I couldn't get a good enough ground on there. That is a Grote 9167, and it's a pretty good match for this one. I'll show those to you now. Tail lights look pretty good, and the headlights are really bright. I like the seal beams. As for one of the coolest upgrades, in my opinion, to this machine, I was able to find a set of used agriculture tread tires. These are non-Kang 23 by 10.5 by 12s. These actually came off of a John Deere Gator, and they fit on here really nice. They came with the Gator rims. But the offset on them was a little bit too far, and the wheels didn't sit under the fenders as tight as I wanted them to. So I ended up using these rims that came off of a Simplicity garden tractor, and they work perfect on there. And I like the rust patina to them as well. Since this isn't something I want to paint, I like the way it looks as it is. And for my other modification I made this little push bar on the front, trying to replicate the original one that they would have sold with this. It actually would have had more of a circular curve instead of these flat bends, but I actually like the way this looks on there. And this was just a piece of scrap 1/4x2 flat stock, and it's really pitted. But I actually kind of like that look on there. It makes it almost look a little more original. And then this is just bed frame angle iron that I made mounts on the sides for. Bolted it to the existing holes in the frame. And bent over this piece here. Drilled a hole and then used a carriage bolt on each side. And it is functional. This bumper has ran into a couple things and saved the front end of the tractor. So I really like having this feature on there. And now that we've got it running good, let's take it for a test drive. So here we are 5 years later from first purchasing this machine. It's been treating me really, really good. I mostly use it for bringing it to tractor shows and riding around at the shows. I use it to pull this little trailer around. Other than that, I don't really use it for a whole lot, but this is by far one of my favorite machines. Even though it's only a yard tractor, it's not a garden tractor. It's still belt driven, but just the story behind this thing is way too cool. I added these little pins too, instead of the locks. Kind of nice. And then a while back, I added this hour meter under the hood. Let's see how many hours are on it now. 54.19 hours after the engine rebuild and partial. I wouldn't call it a restoration because, you know, it hasn't been painted, but it's been refurbished. It has been brought back to mechanically original condition. And it is just an awesome machine that I think I'm going to keep forever. Thanks for watching the whole series, sticking with me with it. It was a long process. It took a long time, but we got her done.